Good afternoon, everybody. So I'm going to continue reading Wonder for you by R.J. Palacio. Chapter Driving. It was a long drive home. I fell asleep in the back seat like I always do, my head on Via's lap like she was my pillow. A towel wrapped around the seat belt so I wouldn't drool all over her. Via fell asleep too, and Mom and Dad talked quietly about grown-up things I didn't care about. I don't know how long I was sleeping, but when I woke up, there was a full moon outside the car window. It was a purple night, and we were driving on a highway full of cars, and then I heard Mom and Dad talking about me. We can't keep protecting him, Mom whispered to Dad, who was driving. We can't just pretend he's going to wake up tomorrow and this isn't going to be his reality, because it is, Nate, and we have to help him learn to deal with it. We can't just keep avoiding situations that. So sending him off to middle school like a lamb to the slaughter, Dad answered angrily, but he didn't even finish his sentence because he saw me in the mirror looking up. What's a lamb to the slaughter? I asked sleepily. Go back to sleep, Augie, Dad said softly. Everyone will stare at me at school, I said, suddenly crying. Honey, Mom said. She turned around in the front seat and put her hand on my hand. But we spoke to the principal there and told him about you, and he really wants to meet you. What did you tell him about me? How funny you are and how kind and smart. When I told him you read Dragon Rider when you were 6, he was like, wow, I have to meet this kid. Dad, you tell him anything else? I said. Mom smiled at me. Her smile kind of hugged me. I told him about all your surgeries and how brave you are, she said. So he knows what I look like, I asked. Well, we brought pictures from last summer in Montauk, Dad said. We showed him pictures of the whole family and that great shot of you holding that flounder on the boat. You were there too, I have to admit. I felt a little disappointed that he was part of this. We both talked to him. Yes, Dad said. He's really nice, man. You would like him, Mom added. Suddenly, it felt like they were on the same side. Wait, so when did you meet him? I said. He took us on a tour of the school last year, said Mom. Last year, I said. So you've been thinking about this for a whole year and you didn't tell me? We didn't know if you even get in, Augie answered. Mom, it's a very hard school to get into. There's a whole admissions process. I didn't see the point in telling you and having you get all worked up about this unnecessarily. But you're right, Augie. We should have told you when we found out last month that you got in, said Dad. In hindsight, sighed Mom. Yes, I guess. Did that lady who came to the house that time have something to do with this? I said. The one that gave me that test. Yes, actually, said Mom, looking guilty. Yes, you told me it was an IQ test, I said. So they kind of lied to him, didn't they? I know, well, that was a white lie, she answered. It was a test you needed to take to get into the school. You did very well on it, by the way. So you lied, I said, a white lie. But yes, sorry, she said, trying to smile about when I didn't smile back. She turned around in her seat and faced forward. So white lie is just a little tiny lie, but it's still a lie. What's a lamb to the slaughter? I said. Mom sighed and gave Daddy a look. I shouldn't have said that, Dad said, looking at me in the rearview mirror. It's not sure. Here's the thing, Mommy and I love you so much. We want to protect you any way we can. It's just sometimes we want to do it in different ways. So like a lamb to the slaughter is like, basically they're saying they're going to send them off to like when the animals get slaughtered and killed. I don't want to go to school, I answered, folding my arms. It would be good for you, Augie said, Mom. Maybe I'll go next year, I answered, looking at out the window. This year would be better, Augie said, Mom. You know, why? Because you'll be going into the 5th grade, and that's the first year of middle school for everyone. You won't be the only new kid. I'll be the only kid who looks like me, I said. I'm not going to say it won't be a big challenge for you because you know better than that, she answered, but it'll be good for you, Augie. You'll make lots of friends, and you'll learn things you've never learned with me. She turned in her seat again and looked at me. When we took the tour, you know what they had in their science lab? A little baby chick that was just hatching out of its egg. It was so cute, Augie. It actually kind of reminded me of you when you were a little baby. with those big brown eyes of yours. I usually love when they talk about when I was a baby. Sometimes I want to curl up into a little tiny ball and let them hug me and kiss me all over. I miss being a baby, not knowing stuff, but I wasn't in the mood for that now. I don't want to go, I said. How about this? Can you at least meet Mr. Tushman before making up your mind? Mom asked. Mr. Tushman, I said. He's the principal, answered Mom. Mr. Tushman, I repeated. I know, right? Dad answered, smiling and looking at me in the rearview mirror. Can you believe that name, Augie? I mean, who on earth would ever agree to have a name like Mr. Tushman? I smiled even though I didn't want to let them see me smile. That was the one person in the world who could make me laugh. No matter how much I didn't want to laugh, that always made everyone laugh. Augie, you should go to that school just so that you can hear his name said over the loudspeaker, Dad said excitedly. Can you imagine how funny that would be? Hello, hello, paging Mr. Tushman. He was using a fake high old lady voice. Hi, Mr. Tushman, I see you're running a little behind today. Did your car get rear-ended? What a bum rap. I started laughing, not even because I thought he was being that funny, but because I wasn't in the mood to stay mad anymore. It could be worse, though. Dad continued in his normal voice. Mommy and I have a professor in college called Miss Butt. Mom was laughing now, too. Is that for real? I said. Roberta Butt, Mom answered, raising her hand as if to swear. Bobby Butt. She has huge cheeks, said Dad. Nate, said Mom. What? She had big cheeks is all I'm saying. Mom laughed and shook her head at the same time. Hey, I know, said Dad excitedly. Let's fix them up on a blind date. Can you imagine? Miss Butt, meet Mr. Tushman. Mr. Tushman, here's Miss Butt. They could get married and have a bunch of little tushies. Poor Mr. Tushman, answered Mom, shaking her head. Augie hasn't even met the man yet, Nate. Who's Mr. Tushman? Via said groggily. She had just woken up. He's the principal of my new school, I answered. Paging Mr. Tushman. I would have been more nervous about meeting Mr. Tushman if I'd known I was going to be meeting some kids from the new school, but I didn't know, so if anything, I would have kind of giggly. I couldn't stop thinking about all the jokes Daddy had made about Mr. Tushman's name, so when me and Mom arrived at Beecher Prep a few weeks before the start of school and I saw Mr. Tushman standing there waiting for us at the entrance, I started giggling right away. He didn't look at all like what I pictured, though. I guess I thought he would have a huge butt, but he didn't. In fact, he was a pretty normal guy, tall and thin. Old, but not really old. He seemed nice. He shook my mom's hand first. Hi, Mr. Tushman. It's so nice to see you again, said Mom. This is my son, August. Mr. Tushman looked right at me and smiled and nodded. He put his hand out for me to shake. Hi, August, he said totally normally. It's a pleasure to meet you. Hi, I mumbled, dropping my hand into his hand while I looked down at his feet. He was wearing red Adidas. So he said, kneeling down in front of me so I couldn't look at his sneakers, but he had to look at his face. Your mom and dad have told me a lot about you. Like, what have they told you? I asked. Sorry, honey, you have to speak up, said Mom. Like what? I asked, trying not to mumble. I admit I have a bad habit of mumbling. Well, that you like to read, said Mr. Tushman, and that you're a great artist. He had blue eyes with eyelashes, and you're into science, right? I said, nodding. We have a couple of great science electives at Beecher. He said, maybe you'll take one of them. I said, though I had no idea what an elective was. So, are you ready to take a tour? You mean you're doing that now? I said. Did you think we're going to the movies? He answered, smiling as he stood up. You didn't tell me we were taking a tour, I said to Mom in my accusing voice. Augie, she started to say. It'll be fine, August, said Mr. Tushman, holding his hand out to me. I promise. I think he wanted me to take his hand, but I took Mom's instead. He smiled and started walking toward the entrance. Mommy gave my hand a little squeeze, though I don't know if it was I love you squeeze or an I'm sorry squeeze. Probably a little both. The only school I've ever been inside before was Via's, when I went with Mom and Dad to watch Via sing in spring concerts and stuff like that. This school was very different. It was small. It was smaller. It smelled like a hospital.